The peaceful research station floating near the gas giant, Kepler 442b, had seen nothing but routine work for the past 3 years. Dr. Kessita ran her delicate fingers across the control panel, checking the daily reports from her team. The Zilani were a quiet species, tall and graceful, with bodies that looked like living crystal. They spent their days studying the swirling storms of the giant planet below, taking notes and sending data back to their home world. The morning started like any other until the communication array began beeping with an urgent signal. Kesta moved quickly to the main console, her crystalline skin catching the soft blue light of the station. The signal was weak and broken, coming from somewhere far beyond their solar system. "What is it?" asked her assistant Velna, floating over on her anti-gravity platform. The Zilani could not handle much physical stress, so they used these platforms to move around their station. Kesta frowned as she listened to the strange sounds coming through their speakers. "It appears to be a distress signal, but the language is completely unknown to me." The transmission was full of static and interference. Through the noise, they could hear what sounded like voices calling for help. There were also the unmistakable sounds of weapons fire and explosions in the background. "Computer, analyze the signal and attempt translation," Kessita commanded. The station's artificial intelligence began working on the message. After several minutes, words began appearing on the screen. The translation was rough and incomplete, but the meaning was clear enough. SOS, under attack. Ship damaged. Need immediate assistance. This is the exploration vessel New Horizon. We are humans from planet Earth. Kesta felt a chill run through her crystal body. She had never heard of this species called humans or their planet Earth. She quickly accessed the galactic database to search for information. "Computer, search all records for species humans and planet Earth," she ordered. The search took longer than usual, which was strange for their advanced system. Finally, a single file appeared on her screen. The entry was brief and seemed very old. Classification Earth, Class 12. Deathworld, gravity 9.8 standard units. Atmosphere, toxic oxygen mix. Life forms, various primitive creatures including bipedal species showing early tool use. Status, not suitable for civilized contact. Last updated 4047 standard years ago. Velna read over Kessita's shoulder. "A death world? Those poor creatures must be very primitive if they live on such a dangerous planet." Kesta nodded sadly. Death worlds were planets with extreme conditions that made them almost impossible for most galactic species to visit. Any creatures that evolved on such worlds were usually simple and tough, but not very intelligent. The distress signal continued to play in the background. The sounds of battle were getting worse, and the voices sounded more desperate with each transmission. "We should help them," Velna said softly. "Even if they are primitive, they don't deserve to die." Kesta agreed, but she was not sure what they could do. The Zilani were researchers, not warriors. Their station had no weapons, and their ships were designed only for peaceful exploration. "We need to contact the Council," Kessita decided. "This is beyond our capabilities." She opened a communication channel to the Zilani homeworld, which was 3 days away even at light speed. While waiting for the signal to reach them, she continued listening to the human distress call. The battle sounds were getting quieter now, which worried her greatly. Either the humans were winning, or they were losing badly. Given that they were described as primitive creatures, she feared the worst. Hours passed before the council responded. The governing body of the Zilani consisted of their wisest and oldest members. They appeared on the main screen as shimmering crystal figures. "Dr. Kesta," spoke Elder Mordan, the council leader, "we have reviewed your report and the distress signal. While these humans appear to be a very primitive species, we cannot ignore their call for help." "What do you suggest we do?" Kesta asked. "We will send our own distress beacon toward their homeworld. If they have any ships capable of space travel, perhaps they can mount a rescue mission for their own people." Kesta was surprised. "But Elder, according to our records, they barely have tool use. How could they possibly have spacecraft?" Elder Mordan's crystal face showed concern. "Our records are very old, Dr. Kesta. In nearly 5,000 years, even primitive species can advance significantly. At the very least, we must try. What message should we send?" Velna asked. The council discussed this for several minutes. Finally, Elder Mordan spoke again. "Tell them that their people are under attack by hostile forces near the Kepler 442 system. Request immediate assistance for rescue operations. Make it clear that time is critical." Keseta began preparing the message, using the translation protocols they had developed from the human distress signal. The message would take days to reach Earth, but it was their only option. As she worked on the transmission, the human distress signal suddenly went silent. Kesta checked her equipment, but everything was working properly. The silence could only mean one thing. The human ship had been destroyed. "Too late," whispered Velna, her crystal body dimming with sadness. "Perhaps," said Kesta, "but we will send the message anyway. Their people deserve to know what happened." She finished encoding the distress beacon and launched it toward the coordinates listed in the database for Earth. The message would travel faster than light through the quantum communication network, but it would still take time to reach its destination. "Message sent," Kesta announced to the council. "Though I fear we are only bringing bad news to a primitive species that cannot possibly help." Elder Mordan nodded solemnly. "We have done what we can. The galaxy must look after its children, no matter how small or weak they may be." The communication with the council ended, leaving Keseta and her team alone with their thoughts. They returned to their research work, but their hearts were heavy with the knowledge that somewhere in space, a ship full of primitive creatures had died because no one was strong enough to save them. Keseta looked out at the swirling clouds of the gas giant below. The universe was a big and dangerous place, full of predators and pirates who preyed on the weak. She wished there was someone out there who could stand up to such evil, someone strong enough to protect the innocent. Little did she know that her message was already speeding through space toward a world that had produced exactly such protectors, and when that message arrived, it would trigger a response that would shake the galaxy to its very foundations. The Zelani research station continued its quiet orbit, its crew unaware that they had just made first contact with the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Their small act of kindness would soon bring them face to face with the legendary fury of Earth's children. In the depths of space, the message raced onward, carrying with it the power to awaken sleeping giants. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the stars blur past as her massive ship traveled through hyperspace. The Dreadnought was one of Earth's most powerful warships, stretching nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, and carrying enough firepower to level a small moon. Chen was a veteran of the Centauri Wars, where humanity had fought against an aggressive alien empire that tried to enslave human colonies. Those battles had taught her that the universe was not a safe place, and that sometimes good people needed others to stand up for them. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, monitoring the ship's systems as they conducted a routine deep space patrol. It had been months since they had seen any real action, and Chen was beginning to think this mission would be another boring survey run. That changed when Lieutenant Rodriguez called out from the communications station. "Admiral, we're receiving a distress signal on the quantum emergency frequency." Chen turned toward him immediately. Emergency frequencies were only used for the most serious situations. "Put it through, Lieutenant." The message that came through the speakers was unlike anything Chen had ever heard. The voice was clearly alien, with a strange musical quality that made it sound almost like singing. The universal translator worked hard to convert the words into English. "To the humans of Earth, your people are under attack. Hostile forces in the Kepler 442 system. Immediate assistance required for rescue operations. Time is critical. Please respond." The bridge fell silent as everyone absorbed what they had just heard. Chen felt her heart rate increase as the implications became clear. "How old is this message?" she asked. Rodriguez checked his console. "It was transmitted approximately 6 hours ago, Admiral. But given the distance, the original attack probably happened days earlier." Chen's jaw tightened. Somewhere out there, human beings were under attack by unknown enemies, and Earth was just now learning about it. Every minute they delayed could mean more lives lost. Navigation, plot a course for the Kepler 442 system. Maximum speed. "Admiral," said Commander Brooks, her second in command, "shouldn't we contact Earth Command first? This could be a trap." Chen considered this for a moment. The message could indeed be fake, designed to lure Earthships into an ambush. But the alternative was worse. If the distress call was real and she wasted time seeking permission, she might arrive to find only wreckage and corpses. "We'll send a message to Earth Command while we travel," she decided. "But we're not waiting for orders. If humans are dying out there, we have a duty to help them." "Aye, Admiral," Brooks replied, though Chen could see the concern in his eyes. The Retribution changed course and began accelerating toward the Kepler 442 system. Chen ordered the ship to battle stations and called for the rest of her battle group to follow. The battle group consisted of the dreadnought Retribution, 2 heavy cruisers named Defiance and Vengeance, 4 destroyers, and a cloud of smaller frigates and corvettes. Together, they represented one of the most powerful military forces humanity had ever assembled. As they traveled through hyperspace, Chen studied everything they knew about the Kepler 442 system. It was located in a relatively unexplored region of space far from any major trade routes. The only thing of interest was a gas giant with several moons and what appeared to be a small research station. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Rodriguez, "I'm picking up more details from the message. The beings who sent it call themselves Zilani, and they say they're researchers, not military." "So they witnessed the attack but couldn't fight back," Chen mused. "That fits with our intelligence about peaceful species in this region." What puzzled her was how the Zilani had gotten Earth's contact information. First contact protocols were supposed to go through official channels, not emergency distress calls, unless the situation was so desperate that normal procedures had been abandoned. Hours passed as the battle group raced through hyperspace. Chen found herself pacing the bridge, unable to sit still while humans might be dying. She had lost too many good people in the Centauri Wars to take any threat lightly. "Admiral," said the sensor officer, "we're approaching the Kepler 442 system, dropping out of hyperspace in 10 minutes. All ships prepare for immediate combat operations," Chen announced over the fleet communication channel. "We don't know what we're walking into, so stay alert and keep your weapons ready." Meanwhile, at the Zilani research station, Dr. Kesita was dealing with a crisis of her own. Her team had been monitoring space around their station when their sensors detected something impossible. "Dr. Kesita," called Velna from her monitoring station, "I'm reading massive energy signatures approaching our position. Multiple contacts, very large." Kesta rushed to the sensor display and felt her crystal body grow cold with fear. The readings showed ships unlike anything in their database. Huge, heavily armed vessels moving at incredible speeds. "How many ships?" she asked. "At least 12 major contacts, Admiral. Possibly more smaller ones. They're traveling in formation like a military fleet." Kesta's mind raced as she tried to understand what was happening. Had the pirates who attacked the humans come for them next? But these ships were approaching from the direction of Earth, not from the outer rim where pirates usually operated. "Could these be the humans responding to our message?" Velna asked hopefully. Kesta looked at the sensor readings again. According to their database, humans were primitive creatures who barely had fire, let alone spacecraft. But the fleet approaching them was clearly advanced and powerful. "That's impossible," she said. "Our records show humans are still in their early evolutionary stages." "When were those records last updated?" Velna asked. Kesita checked the database entry for Earth. 4,847 years ago. The two Zilani stared at each other as the implications sank in. In nearly 5,000 years, any species could advance from primitive tool use to spaceflight. They had based their understanding of humanity on information that was older than their recorded history. "We need to contact them immediately," Kesita said. "If these are humans, they may think we're the ones who attacked their people." She began composing an urgent message explaining the situation, but their translation protocols were limited. The human language was completely different from anything they had encountered, and their computer was struggling to create accurate translations. As she worked, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Even at maximum magnification, Kesita could see that these were warships, sleek, deadly vessels that radiated power and aggression. "They're beautiful," whispered Velna, staring at the screen. They were also terrifying. The largest ship was bigger than anything the Zilani had ever built, bristling with weapons and armor. The smaller vessels moved with precision that spoke of military training and combat experience. Kesta finally managed to send a basic message. "Welcome, humans. We are Zilani researchers. We sent distress call. Original attack is over. We are peaceful." She hoped the message would reach them in time, before the approaching fleet decided that the Zilani research station posed a threat. Unknown to both species, they were about to experience a first contact situation that would change the course of galactic history, and somewhere in the darkness between the stars, other eyes were watching, drawn by the energy signatures of the human fleet. The real danger was just beginning. The human battle group emerged from hyperspace like avenging angels, their ships materializing in perfect formation around the gas giant Kepler 442b. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching as her fleet took defensive positions around what appeared to be a small research station. "Sensor report," she ordered. "No sign of hostile vessels in the immediate area," reported Lieutenant Kim from the sensor station. "But I'm detecting debris fields that look like shipwreckage scattered throughout the system." Chen nodded grimly. They were too late to save whoever had sent the original distress call, but perhaps they could still help the beings who had tried to rescue them. "Communications. Are you receiving anything from the station?" Lieutenant Rodriguez worked at his console for several minutes before responding. "Yes, Admiral. Very basic message in broken English. They're calling themselves Zilani researchers and claiming to be peaceful. Put me through to them," Chen ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the interior of what was clearly an alien space station. Two tall, graceful beings appeared on screen, their bodies seeming to be made of living crystal that caught and reflected the station's lights. Chen had seen many alien species during the Centauri Wars, but these creatures were unlike anything in her experience. They moved with fluid grace, floating on what appeared to be anti-gravity platforms. Their faces, while clearly non-human, showed expressions that Chen recognized as nervous fear. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Forces," she said, speaking slowly and clearly. "We received your distress signal requesting assistance for humans under attack. What is your status?" The taller of the two aliens responded in halting English. "Admiral Chen, we are Dr. Kesita and Velna of Zilani Research Station. We sent message because we heard humans calling for help, but we made terrible mistake." Chen leaned forward. "What kind of mistake?" Dr. Kesta seemed to struggle with the words. "Our computer record said humans were primitive species. We thought you might have small rescue ships. We did not know you were." She gestured at the massive fleet surrounding her station. "This advanced." Commander Brooks stepped up beside Chen. "Admiral, they appear to be telling the truth. Our sensors confirm this is a research station with no weapons." Chen studied the alien faces on the screen. Despite their strange appearance, she could read genuine distress and confusion in their expressions. These beings had tried to help humans they believed were primitive and weak, never expecting to summon a full battle fleet. "Dr. Kesida," Chen said gently, "can you tell us what happened to the humans who were under attack?" The alien's crystal body seemed to dim with sadness. "Their signals stopped many hours ago. We believe their ship was destroyed by raiders from the Vorthan Syndicate." "The Vorthan Syndicate?" Brooks repeated. "Those are the pirates who have been terrorizing the Outer Rim colonies." Chen felt anger building in her chest. She knew about the Vorthan Syndicate from intelligence reports, a collection of violent raiders who attacked peaceful settlements and enslaved or killed anyone who resisted them. "Dr. Kesita, we appreciate what you tried to do for our people," Chen said. "Even though we arrived too late, your attempt to help will not be forgotten." Before the alien could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the Retribution. Lieutenant Kim looked up from his sensor station with wide eyes. "Admiral, multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace at the system edge. Large vessels, military configuration. They're broadcasting Vorthan Syndicate identification codes." Chen spun around to face the tactical display. 15 massive pirate ships were entering the system in attack formation, their hulls scarred from countless battles and their weapons already powering up. "How did they know we were here?" Brooks wondered aloud. "They must monitor galactic communications," Chen realized. "They probably intercepted fragments of our message exchange and came to investigate." On the main screen, Dr. Kesita was frantically operating her station's controls. "Admiral Chen, those ships belong to Warlord Thaxron. He is very dangerous. You should retreat while you can." Chen looked at the graceful alien who was trying to warn them away from danger, then at the tactical display showing the approaching pirate fleet. These Zilani had risked themselves to help humans they had never met, and now they were about to become victims of the same pirates who had killed the human exploration ship. "Negative, Dr. Kesita. We're not leaving." The pirate fleet continued its approach, and soon a harsh voice filled the communication channels. The universal translator converted the alien words into English with a tone of arrogant confidence. "Attention, unknown vessels. This is Warlord Thaxron of the Vorthan Syndicate. You are trespassing in our territory. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded, or we will destroy your ships and take what we want from the wreckage. Chen looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. These were veterans who had fought in some of the bloodiest battles in human history. They had seen entire colonies burned by alien raiders, and they had sworn an oath to protect the innocent wherever they found them. Open a channel to the pirate fleet, Chen ordered. Channel open, Admiral. Chen's voice was calm and steady, but her crew could hear the ice-cold fury underneath. Warlord Thaxron, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Space Forces. You are ordered to withdraw from this system immediately. The beings on this research station are under our protection. Harsh laughter came through the speakers. Humans, I know about your pathetic species. You crawled out of some primitive mud ball and think you can challenge the Vorthan Syndicate? We have conquered 100 worlds. We will add your ships to our fleet and your bodies to our slave markets. On the main screen, Dr. Kesta watched in horror as the pirate ships moved into attack formation. Admiral Chen, you must run. Your ships are smaller than theirs. They have weapons that can destroy entire planets. Chen smiled, and for the first time since arriving in the system, she felt completely calm. Dr. Kesta, I think it's time you learned something about humans. We don't run from bullies. She turned to face her bridge crew. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. We have hostile forces threatening innocent civilians. You know the drill. Show them why Earth doesn't negotiate with pirates. The response from her fleet was immediate and unanimous. Aye, Admiral. Let's send them to hell. Chen looked back at the screen where Dr. Kesta was staring at her with what appeared to be amazement. Doctor, you might want to move your station to a safe distance. This is going to get very loud. As the Zelani research station began moving away from the battle zone, the first pirate ships opened fire. Brilliant energy beams lanced across space toward the human fleet, weapons that had destroyed countless peaceful worlds. What happened next would become legendary throughout the galaxy. The human ships didn't retreat or seek cover. Instead, they charged directly into the enemy fire, their shields blazing as they absorbed punishment that would have vaporized most galactic vessels. And then the Earth fleet began to return fire. Dr. Keseta watched from her station as the humans revealed what 5,000 years of evolution on a death world had created. These were not the primitive creatures from her database. These were apex predators from a world that bred warriors. The battle for Kepler 442b was about to begin. The space around Kepler 442b erupted into the most violent battle the system had ever seen. Warlord Thaxron's massive pirate ships opened fire with weapons that had terrorized the galaxy for decades. Energy beams capable of melting mountains streaked across the void toward the human fleet. Dr. Keseta watched from her research station in absolute terror. The Vorthan Syndicate ships were enormous, each one larger than anything the Zelani had ever built. Their weapons had destroyed entire civilizations, and now they were aimed at the humans who had come to protect her people. The humans are doomed, whispered Velna, her crystal body flickering with distress. Those weapons will tear their ships apart. But as the pirate fire reached the human fleet, something impossible happened. The human ships didn't explode or retreat. Instead, they absorbed the devastating energy blasts on shields that blazed like miniature suns, then kept coming. Admiral Chen stood calmly on the bridge of the Retribution as enemy fire pounded her ship's shields. Around her, the bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, calling out damage reports and tactical updates. Shield strength at 85% and holding, reported Lieutenant Kim. Enemy ships are maintaining attack formation. They don't seem to understand why we're not running, observed Commander Brooks. Chen smiled coldly. Then let's educate them. All ships execute attack pattern Delta. Target their command vessels first. The human fleet suddenly changed formation with a precision that defied belief. Ships that had been flying in defensive positions scattered into a complex attack pattern, moving so fast that the pirate gunners couldn't track them. On his flagship, Warlord Thaxron stared at his tactical display in confusion. The human ships were performing maneuvers that should have been impossible. They were pulling acceleration forces that would kill most galactic species, twisting and diving through space like fighters instead of capital ships. Sir, called his weapons officer, the human vessels are moving too fast for our targeting systems to lock on. Then fire everything, Thaxron roared. Flood the area with energy. The pirate fleet unleashed a barrage that lit up space like a star-going nova. Hundreds of energy beams and missile warheads filled the void between the two fleets. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The human ships danced through the inferno like ghosts. They twisted and rolled, using the gas giant's gravity well and the asteroid field around it to enhance their movements. What should have been a devastating attack became a light show as most of the pirate weapons missed their targets entirely. And then the humans began to return fire. The first indication Thaxron had of humanity's true power came when the destroyer Mongoose fired a single torpedo at his escort frigate. The weapon was small compared to the massive energy beams the pirates used, but when it struck, the entire frigate simply vanished in a ball of nuclear fire. What was that? Thaxron demanded. Unknown weapon type, his science officer reported, his voice shaking. It appears to be some kind of antimatter warhead. Before Thaxron could respond, more human weapons began finding their targets. The cruiser Defiance opened up with its main batteries, sending streams of accelerated particles that cut through pirate shields like they weren't there. The destroyer pack began working together, coordinating their attacks to overwhelm individual targets. But it was the dreadnought Retribution that truly showed the pirates what they were facing. Admiral Chen's flagship turned toward the largest pirate vessel and fired its main weapon, a particle accelerator that ran the full length of the ship. The beam that emerged was invisible to the naked eye, but its effects were catastrophic. It punched through the pirate ship's shields, armor, and hull like they were made of paper. The massive vessel split in half, its reactor containment failing in an explosion that lit up the entire system. Dr. Kesta watched in stunned amazement as the human fleet systematically dismantled the pirate force. The beings she had thought were primitive were fighting with a tactical sophistication that surpassed anything in her experience. "Look at how they move," Velna whispered in awe. "They're using the asteroid field as cover, bouncing signals off the gas giant's atmosphere to confuse enemy sensors. I've never seen anything like it." The human fighters were even more impressive. Small craft no bigger than Zelani research pods were darting between the massive pirate ships, targeting specific systems with surgical precision. They moved like living things, seeming to anticipate enemy fire before it was even aimed at them. Warlord Thaxron was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. These humans weren't the primitive species described in the old databases. They were something far more dangerous, warriors from a world that had forged them in violence. "Sir, we've lost 6 ships and counting," reported his tactical officer. "The humans are targeting our command and control systems. They're trying to disable our fleet coordination. Then we fall back to individual ship tactics," Thaxron ordered. "All vessels, break formation and attack independently." It was exactly what Admiral Chen had been waiting for. "They're breaking formation," she announced to her fleet. "All ships execute the hammer and anvil. Drive them toward the gas giant's gravity well." The human ships moved like a pack of wolves, herding the scattered pirate vessels toward the massive planet. Any ship that tried to escape was cut off by fast-moving destroyers. Any ship that tried to fight was overwhelmed by concentrated fire from multiple human vessels. The battle became a rout. Pirate ships that had terrorized the galaxy for years were being destroyed by weapons and tactics they had never encountered. The humans fought with a ruthless efficiency that spoke of long experience with warfare. Thaxron's own flagship was burning now, its engines damaged and its weapons offline. Around him, his crew worked frantically to restore power while human ships closed in for the kill. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the human admiral." "Put it through," Thaxron growled. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main screen, her expression cold and unforgiving. "Warlord Thaxron, this is your only warning. Surrender now and we'll allow your surviving ships to withdraw from this system. Continue fighting and we'll destroy every last one of you." Thaxron looked around his burning bridge at the faces of his crew. These were hardened pirates who had followed him through countless battles. But now he saw something he had never seen before. Fear. "You're bluffing," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "You can't have this much firepower." Chen's smile was sharp as a blade. "Warlord, we haven't even used our heavy weapons yet. What you've seen so far is just our standard anti-piracy equipment." As if to emphasize her point, the dreadnought Retribution's secondary batteries opened fire on a nearby asteroid. The massive rock, easily a kilometer across, was reduced to dust in seconds. Thaxron felt his blood turn to ice. If that was their secondary weaponry, what could their main guns do? "I'm sending you something to think about," Chen continued. Our tactical computer has calculated exactly how long it would take us to destroy your remaining ships. Would you like to know the answer? Without waiting for a response, she cut the transmission. A moment later, Thaxron's tactical display lit up with targeting solutions showing how human weapons could eliminate every pirate ship in the system. The computer calculated a total engagement time of 4 minutes and 37 seconds. Looking around at the wreckage of his once mighty fleet, Thaxron realized that the humans weren't bluffing. They could destroy him completely, and they were offering him one chance to walk away. It was an offer no pirate had ever expected to receive. In the lawless regions of space, mercy was a sign of weakness. But as he watched another of his ships explode under human fire, Thaxron began to understand that these humans operated by different rules. They were strong enough to destroy him completely, but disciplined enough to offer quarter to a defeated enemy. It was a combination that terrified him more than any weapon ever could. Warlord Thaxron stared at the tactical display, showing the complete destruction of his fleet laid out in cold, precise calculations. Around him, the bridge of his flagship burned while human ships held position just outside weapons range. Waiting for his decision. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "the humans are hailing us again." Thaxron looked around at his crew. These were hardened pirates who had followed him through 100 battles. But now their faces showed something he had never seen before. Respect for an enemy who had defeated them completely yet still offered mercy. "Open the channel," he ordered. "Admiral." Chen appeared on the screen, her expression calm but unyielding. "Warlord, you have 30 seconds to decide. Surrender and withdraw or be destroyed where you sit." Thaxron had spent his entire life taking what he wanted by force. The concept of surrender was foreign to him. But as he watched the debris of his ships floating in space, he realized that sometimes even predators met something higher on the food chain. "I surrender," he said, the words tasting bitter in his mouth. "My surviving ships will withdraw from this system and not return." Chen nodded. "Understood. You have 1 hour to collect your survivors and leave. If any Vorthan Syndicate ship is detected in this system again, we will respond with lethal force." The transmission ended, and Thaxron began the humiliating process of gathering his scattered fleet. Of the 15 ships that had entered the system, only 6 remained functional. The humans had destroyed 9 pirate vessels in less than 20 minutes. As the remnants of the Syndicate fleet limped away from Kepler 442b, Thaxron sent an urgent message to Syndicate headquarters. The galaxy needed to know that humanity was not the primitive species described in the old databases. Dr. Kesta watched the pirate ships retreat with a mixture of relief and amazement. The beings she had thought were simple creatures from a dangerous world had just defeated one of the most feared military forces in the galaxy. "Dr. Keseta," came Admiral Chen's voice over the communication system. "Are you and your people unharmed?" "Yes, Admiral Chen, thanks to you we are safe." Kesta paused, trying to find the right words. "We owe you a debt that can never be repaid." "No debt necessary, Doctor. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. It's what we do." Over the following days, the Zelani Research Station became the site of the galaxy's first official diplomatic contact with humanity. Dr. Keseda worked tirelessly to establish proper translation protocols, while Admiral Chen shared basic information about Earth and human civilization. The Zelani were amazed to learn that humans had developed from primitive tool users to spacefaring civilization in less than 5,000 years. Most galactic species took tens of thousands of years to achieve such advancement. "How did you advance so quickly?" Kesta asked during one of their conversations. Chen considered the question carefully. "Our world taught us that we had to be strong to survive. We learned to work together to fight when necessary, and to protect those who couldn't protect themselves." "But you could have conquered us easily," Velna observed. "Your ships are far more powerful than anything we've ever seen. Why didn't you take what you wanted like the pirates?" "Because," Chen said simply, "that's not who we are. Strength without honor is just bullying. We use our power to protect, not to destroy." News of the battle spread throughout the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The survivors of Thaxron's fleet told their story in every pirate port and criminal hideout in known space. The tale grew with each telling, but the core message remained the same. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The Galactic Council, the governing body of civilized species, called an emergency session to discuss the implications of humanity's sudden appearance on the galactic stage. For thousands of years, they had maintained peace through careful diplomacy and the understanding that no single species was powerful enough to dominate the others. Now they faced the reality that a new species had emerged with military capabilities that exceeded anything in their experience. "We must invite them to join the Council immediately," argued Counselor Zirin of the peaceful Alteran Federation. "Beings with such power could destabilize the entire galaxy if they choose to act independently. Or they could bring stability," countered Counselor Mortek of the Hegemony Worlds. "The pirate attacks on Rim worlds have increased dramatically in recent years. Perhaps it's time we had allies with the strength to enforce galactic law." The debate continued for days, but the conclusion was inevitable. The Council voted unanimously to extend an invitation for Earth to join the galactic community as a full member. Admiral Chen received the invitation, while the Retribution was still stationed near the Zolani Research Facility. Dr. Keseta had volunteered to serve as humanity's first diplomatic contact, working to bridge the gap between her people and the newcomers from Earth. "Admiral," Kesta said as they reviewed the Council's message, "this is a great honor. No species has ever been offered immediate full membership in the Galactic Council." Chen smiled. "We're honored by the invitation, but we'll need time to consult with our government. This is bigger than one admiral can decide." While Earth's leaders debated how to respond to the galactic invitation, Chen made a decision that would shape humanity's role in the galaxy for generations to come. She announced the formation of the Deathworlder Protection Compact, a military alliance dedicated to protecting peaceful species from predatory forces. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within weeks, dozens of species that had suffered under pirate attacks sent representatives asking to join the alliance. The galaxy was full of peaceful civilizations that had no way to defend themselves against aggressive raiders. 6 months later, the UES Guardian launched from Earth's orbital shipyards. It was humanity's first ship designed specifically for interstellar peacekeeping, smaller than a dreadnought but faster and more advanced than anything Earth had built before. Captain Maria Santos, the Guardian's commanding officer, received her orders directly from Admiral Chen, who had been appointed as Earth's first galactic ambassador. "Captain," Chen said during the Guardian's commissioning ceremony, "your mission is simple. Find those who prey on the innocent and remind them why that's a bad idea." Santos saluted crisply. "Understood, Admiral. Any pirate who threatens peaceful beings will learn what humans do to bullies." As the Guardian departed on its first patrol, Dr. Kesta stood beside Admiral Chen on the observation deck of the new Earth diplomatic station, orbiting her research facility. "Do you think this will work?" the Zolani scientist asked. "Can your people really bring peace to the galaxy?" Chen watched the Guardian's engines light up as it entered hyperspace, carrying humanity's promise of protection to distant stars. "Doctor, 5,000 years ago we were primitive creatures barely capable of making fire. Today we're the galaxy's newest peacekeepers. If there's one thing humans excel at, it's exceeding expectations." In the depths of space, other distress signals waited to be answered. Pirates and raiders who had terrorized peaceful worlds for centuries were about to learn that the galaxy had new protectors. Beings from a death world who had turned their strength toward defending the innocent. The Teo age of human guardianship had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Far away in the pirate strongholds of the Outer Rim, Warlord Thaxron's warning echoed through criminal networks. "The humans are not what the databases say. They are apex predators from a world that breeds warriors. Cross them at your own peril." But for every pirate who heeded that warning, there were peaceful species who heard a different message, that somewhere in the galaxy, there were those strong enough and brave enough to stand against the darkness. And when the call for help went out, humanity would answer.